1996, Divine Time, Virginia, Camp Peary, February 14th. Benjamin and Aloysius were both in their 70s and rarely made unexpected trips. They'd surprised Jerry when they interrupted him training at the farm, but even more surprising was the order they'd come to deliver. Standard procedure within the agency's hierarchy had him unaware that the general was a target was on the elders' radar. "Well," said Benjamin, "I'll be the first to admit when I'm wrong. Never in my life did I envision a threat to national security by one of these hip-hoppers." "I'm with his kind often," Jerry explained to them. "They love to talk. That's their thing. But it's just talk. Aside from killing each other, they couldn't kill a plant. Trust me, Father, he doesn't have it in him." Aloysius agreed. "I can't believe they have the resources to pull off an op like that." Benjamin wasn't giving in. The general was already on record for having made presidential threats. Plus, this request had come from a high-ranking member of the order to whom he owed favors. "On the contrary," he said, "review his history. His words have proven to be authentic. We believe his ambitions are seditious and no less than revenge on the agents that played him and anyone else that was down with them." Benjamin paused a moment. "And, if that isn't enough, this could turn out to be very lucrative for us." "How so?" asked Aloysius. "As a major shareholder in Clockwork Enterprises, I am privy to some insider information. Consumer polls are showing that sales of the target's next release, his entire discography for that matter, would increase dramatically if he were to meet with an untimely demise. Put simply, he's a nuisance that is worth more to us dead than he ever was alive. I've taken it upon myself to share this information with a brother and litigator friend of ours on the West Coast, one Francis Kleinfeld." "Oh no," Jerry exclaimed. "Not the Italians. You guys work JKF. You know how sloppy they can be." Benjamin was fuming when he looked at Jerry. "Silence!" he yelled in Hebrew. "He is one of us. B'nai B'rith. Fortunately, that is more than I can say of the company I hear you've been keeping." "They're business contacts," Jerry said defensively. "Nothing personal." "And so are my orders," said Benjamin. "Working together, the two of you should be able to come up with something foolproof. Oh, and after that, Agent Friedman, I'd advise you to distance yourself from all of them." There was silence at the table until Benjamin, who almost never raised his voice, finally did. "This nonsense has gone on long enough," he said. "I want him added to the list with the other subversives." A list that went on and included performers like Cass Elliot, Jimi Hendrix, Brian Jones, John Lennon, Bob Marley, Sal Mineo, Phil Oakes, and Peter Tosh. Jerry quickly agreed and made an attempt to placate him. "Don't worry, Father. I've been grooming a familiar who is both venal and malleable. He will serve us well." Aloysius passed Jerry a folder. "Well, there you have it," he said. "This black op is a go. Do what must be done." Los Angeles, Pelican Bay State Penitentiary, April. Fame and his father boarded a plane the same night Juanita called with the news. This visit promised to be the hardest for Good Game to take. He watched as the corrections officer pushed Lario through the visiting area to the table. After seeing him wheeled across the room with a bandaged hand and bruised face, Fame was ready to hurt something too. When Juanita was finished with her kisses and hugs, Lario greeted his family. "Y'all didn't have to come all the way out here for this," he said. "I told them you'd be okay," said Juanita. "A little battered and bruised, but I'll bounce back." "Who was it, Uncle? Please let me know. I got some assassins on my team that will shut them the fuck down." He hugged Fame again. "I bet you do, nephew, but I've got it covered." "Yeah, son, the old men still got some tricks up their sleeves." He and Lario laughed as he sat down. "Real talk," said Lario. "Them dumb shits better hope they never get out of the SHU." I can't believe some Crips did this to you, man, said Good Game, looking in disbelief at his childhood friend. Them bitches gotta get their names crossed out. No doubt, but that Crip shit is just smoke and mirrors, explained Larry O. This is Kleinfeld's work. The lawyer? Wondered Good Game. Juanita nodded. Yeah, man. I didn't speak on it because I didn't want it to get this far, but I've been having problems at firing squad. All the money they making? Asked Fame. What kind of problems? Larry O looked at him deadpan. The more money you get, the more problems you're gonna have, nephew. I done told him, said his father. Larry O took a deep breath. Firing squad is in trouble, he said. Not only are they under federal investigation, but the Fame has gone to Pooh's head. He's got stacks of lawsuits because he ain't paid nobody over there, me included. But I can't put all the blame on him. Pooh is damn near a puppet. Kleinfeld got his hand all up in his ass. Juanita agreed. See, Pooh ain't from the streets, she said. He got his pull with the Bloods from Larry and his pull with the Crips from Kleinfeld. Yeah, I remember you told me that before, said Good Game. Now he out here acting like he Don Corleone or something. I bet it's gotten worse since they signed the General, said Fame. Larry O answered, You know it, nephew. That lit a fire inside Good Game. That boy is snapping hard, ain't he? Blood, said Larry O. The first song on the first disc? They can't play that in here. That shit starts riots. Yeah, I could imagine, said Good Game. That little dude is making fight music. Yeah, but who is he fighting with? Asked Larry O. I don't know how true it is, but over at Periscope, they tell me he got QMD kicked off the label, and after his next record, he's planning on leaving and starting his own thing. K9 in the Kennel is solid, but they ain't got it like them two. QMD is what got me to invest, and as far as I'm concerned, without him, there is no Firing Squad Records. That's what I told Kleinfeld. I said to him, Look, Francis, you've been giving me the runaround for months. Now I hear this? I told him that wasn't what I had signed on for, so just give me back my $1 million with interest and we could call it even. Then he tried to double talk me again. That's when I told him I'd see him in court. What did he say to that? Asked Fortune. Larry O looked him in the eye. You see me, don't you? See, said Good Game, nudging his son. What did I tell you about you and Fortune's business situation with that boy? Nephew, I'm going to tell you like the warden told me. Kleinfeld and the people he runs with are as smooth as they want to be and just as vicious given the situation. Watch your back if you're doing business with them. Fame flashed him that same sign that he'd been flashing since he was a little boy. Until the moment I'm deceased, I will. Larry O flashed it back. Blood, what we gonna do about Pooh and Kleinfeld? Asked Good Game. Ain't nothing nobody can do for him now, he said. Them busters got dollar signs on their heads. They all knew what that meant. Bounty hunters would hunt them till they were dead. NYMP, June 4th. 4 million discs in 4 months made it official. The General wasn't just king of the streets. He was king of the world. Fastidious New Yorkers, however, had cast their votes asunder. The Prophet's disc had been an instant classic, placing him amongst rap's elite. A truly phenomenal feat since, to date, it had sold only 200,000 copies, while his unofficial rival, the Titan, had sold over 2 million. Both were in the studio hard at work on their sophomore efforts. Of all his peers, the Titan's rise had been the most meteoric, but success in good times had been overshadowed by rumors and accusations courtesy of his estranged friend. Since his release, the General had been on a mission to publicly eviscerate him and evince to him what death really was. Thomas had tolerated a slew of threats masquerading as late-night phone calls and ignored countless interviews deriding him. Dizzy's PR machine decided it would serve them best if they turned the other cheek. Fresh out of cheeks and feeling more tiny than Titanic, Thomas and a handful of less fortunate New York rappers planned an underhanded response to the General's latest diatribe on wax. What? What are we going to do about this cat? Thomas sounded like a 350-pound baby Huey. Man, this motherfucker keeps shitting on me. Psh. This dude don't know what beef is. I'm telling you, he don't know beef. These are supposed to be good times for me, man. But this dude keeps shitting on my crown. He puffed away on his blunt, thinking about better days. I can't believe I used to have love for this cat, eh? I mean, he used to be my man. AD sat in the car, his attention divided between bobbing his head to the general's music and, for reasons he couldn't quite explain, actually feeling sorry for Thomas. That's the way things go in the life, T. Love changes, a thug changes, and best friends become strangers. Inside, AD knew Thomas was right. This should have been the time of his life. Yet, the offer he was making was one of a desperate man. An offer that crossed a line they both knew he wasn't fit to cross. AD made an attempt to steer him back. T, you positive you want to do this? I mean, you sure this is the only way? You know, to make a guy die bleeding is nothing. When you make him die breathing, then you saying something. He couldn't quite put his finger on it. Had Diane's evangelism paid off? Was it because Prudential had given him prospects that he'd never had before? Maybe he was going through a midlife crisis. He couldn't be sure. What he did know was for the first time in his life, he was getting money. But it was like his conscience was eating at him. As of late, he'd taken to sitting on the edge of his bed, zoning out for hours to the thought of friends and faces, people and places that were no longer there. Mayor Giuliani had turned the lights on and made people disappear. He'd ordered Bratton's bone crushers to take back the streets, and every borough harbored beasts with nothing to eat. Suddenly, 5% predictions were what they'd all come to fear. Beset by so many agents that even civilians could see things clear. For the New York City drug kingpin, the end of an era was near. Thomas insisted, "Somebody's gotta die. That bid fucked Duke's head up, yo. And he wasn't all there to begin with." He pointed to the stereo. "You hear this shit? Dude ain't even rapping. That shit is more like a tirade. I don't think he knows what he be saying." AD laughed. "I'm serious. You remember what J.I., God bless the dead, told us? When that dude get high, he get to running off at the mouth, and when he come down, he don't remember half the shit he said. Duke ain't lie. I seen the dude in the booth plenty of times. That dude don't even be there. I mean, his body be there, but that dude be gone, flying. He stay in the wind." Your stairway lies on the whispering wind. AD automatically tuned out Thomas's rant as he recalled. 95, 94, 93, 92, 91. He is the Lord of the Winds. If a situation arises, this card signals a stalemate. There will be no way around it and no escaping it. You must confront it. It will frighten you. AD shuddered, but Thomas didn't notice. It stands in the way of everything you've worked for. AD tuned into Thomas again. "Disrespecting me and my bitch and fucking up my cheddar. I'm too old for that, man. Plus, I got expenses, so whatever. If I gotta do it like this, I will, cause the thought of being broke at 30 gives me chills." AD put his fist out. "That ain't no lie. I mean it, T. I plan to be multi before I die." They took a moment to laugh before Thomas continued. "Hope got twins on the way." AD looked at him. Everyone had heard the rumors that the kids weren't his and that his girl was a hoe, but Thomas was in love and refused to let her go. When he heard the rumors about Hope and the general, he'd wondered, was him or his fame, good dick or good game? Whatever the case, I'll bet he screamed, "West Side!" when he came. "She swore to me that shit wasn't true," said Thomas before thinking out loud. And even if it was, why would he shit on Honey like that? It didn't make sense. Thomas had always known the general to be an honest man. Why would she do some dumb shit like that when she know what I'll do to her? "It's the life," said AD. Thomas looked at him puzzled as he explained. "Come on, T. Hoes be knowing the deal. Why do we do what we do when we all know how the story ends? It's the same for them. They claim they love us, but really it's this life we lead." "And the dick," Thomas added. "That too, but mostly it's the life. It blocks out the death." "And when you think about it," said Thomas, "all people in the hood got to look forward to is the life and death." Right, AD chuckled, then they bumped fists again. Satisfied with Thomas's conversation, he took his first pull. "Think about it," he said, blowing out the smoke. These jiggy broads wasn't checking for me 12 months ago. I was so ghetto. But look at him now. I'm all they know. AD watched Thomas's face for a reaction. He got none. Thomas sat there staring into space as his man AD dropped another dime. I'm the king of this city, T. Yo, the city is mine. Thomas didn't want to admit it, but the word on the street said AD was right. The general's attack had hurt him bad, and Prudential was gaining ground. A feat and running out of breath. He thought of Rumi and the spiritual exercises, but figured it was too late for him now. He remembered Matthew 24 and the advice his father had given him in the bedroom years ago. He blew that off too. I ain't got the time for no praise the Lord shit, thought Thomas. Nowhere else in the world is your burn quicker than here. What's 15 minutes anyway? Especially when they're New York minutes. He cracked a weak smile as he thought about passing the reins. Shit. I never really thought it could happen anyway. A black ashy dude from the gutter with no father and an immigrant mother. Look at us now. Thomas had sent Gaeta to the best doctors. And with her cancer in remission, she was all smiles pushing her new Acura through BK and modeling furs to the hospital. He'd even put her in a few videos and given her the gift of fame that she'd always desired. And at last, he'd been crowned king. He was done. This was as high as he could dream. He'd always looked up to AD. He'd always been the man around town. This was the way things should be. It was time he wore the crown. AD could feel Thomas's energy giving out. His hypnotized mind was easy to read, and Harab Sarap was in the air as he considered the possibilities. Don't take this the wrong way, T, but this is pretty big, what you asking. How you gonna bankroll it if you don't want Dizzy knowing what happened? Come on, man. I took care of all that. Dizzy paid me $250,000 when I sold him back on my half of the publishing rights. I got something put up. Plus, I got Dizzy to guarantee you a spot on the next disc, Playboy. I ain't forgot what I said or how you love the dough. AD smiled, and the Titan stuck out a weak fist. That Brooklyn bullshit? AD's pounded down. We on it. Los Angeles, summertime. And the living was anything but easy. Factions from both sides wanted to see them dead, and they'd put prices on their heads. So now, when Pooh and the General slept, they did it with Rottweilers and big girls in their beds. And they all ate lead. Pooh decided to splurge on an island vacation to regroup and get his family away from it all. With everyone tipsy and frolicking about a rented beach house and yacht, drinking champagne and margaritas with models and having the time of their lives enjoying his previously unheard of generosity, he'd passed out stacks of hundreds and diamond rings bearing the family crest on the plane. It was turning out to be a good idea. The general felt especially alive as he cast his troubles aside and parted the ocean while skipping across the waters on a wave runner. That particular day, the summer sun shone brighter on him than ever before, melting his heart and warming his skin, setting his soul on fire like the kiss from an old friend. And when he opened his eyes to Petula giving him mouth-to-mouth on the seashore, the victim of a freak riptide that almost took his life, it had also seared some indelible images into his brain. And they weren't of her, nor were they of Pooh, or Canine, or the Kennel, or the Eternals who all stood around him, waiting for a sign of life with bated breath. The images were of a face he'd seen, but had not met, a portentous glow on a hand in the distance, and most vivid was a passage from a book that he'd read in prison. Excerpt 52. The passage quoted, "You can straddle the fence between life and death, between here and there for only so long. So he went on alone without us. The story you are about to read may sound like a tragedy, but for me, it's a tale of liberation. No matter what depression and frustration he may have endured in his final days, I believe he also knew joy, hope, and the calm knowledge that he was almost home." From the book, No One Here Gets Out Alive, by Danny Sugarman and Jerry Hopkins, a book on Jim Morrison. Petula may as well have been a princess. Her parents were the equivalent of royals in most circles. All throughout his prison stay and annulled marriage to Nia, she and the general had remained close. They'd been together since the day after his release, traveling and getting closer. He'd even made it onto the estate to meet the parents, and ever since they'd returned from a romantic vacation in Italy, she'd been hinting at marriage. But right now, what was most important to the general was the group of lists in her StarTAC phone. She called it her black book, and in it were what amounted to bi-coastal files on all sorts of characters, from big-time realtors to up-and-coming drug dealers. After she'd made some calls, the general made another request that Pooh was more than eager to grant. New Jersey, Teterboro Airport, several hours later. Come on, G, you gonna let me in on this or what? You sure you up to this, K? You ain't having second thoughts, is you? Do I gotta say it again? On my grandmama, I will. The general gave him a pound. All right, then, get ready. It's gonna be a long night in the field. A short time later, the taxi they'd taken from the airport dropped them in front of Ponce's funeral home in Marcy, where the general opened the door to a vehicle that was parked in front. What the fuck is we doing in a hearse? Asked Kay. And how you know it was gonna be here? The general whispered. Pooh got family all over the world, man. They smiled and traded pounds before he hung up the burnout and continued. Alright, this is how we gonna play it. I found this dude. One of Petula's girls knows someone who fucking him. She knows where he at right now. After we catch him, we gonna cuff him and search him. If he's strapped, you keep that. Then we gonna make him get. Brooklyn, Greenwood Cemetery, 11:41 p.m. Inside the coffin, his mouth tied with the general's rumal, AD knew he'd already made what could turn out to be his fatal mistake. He chanted furiously, attempting to invoke the aid of the Baphomet. Little did he know that with every stroke of the clock, his chances for survival increased, as by memory alone, he performed the rites of the Masonic 34th degree, the satanic ritual Lair Epeus, or the ceremony of the stifling air. Why am I here? What is the meaning of this? It is if a strange and overpowering summons intrudes upon my rest. A curse must be upon me yet. The world rolls round forever like a mill. It grinds out death and life and good and ill. It has no purpose, heart, mind, or will. All substance, lives, and struggles evermore, through countless shapes, continually at war, by countless interactions interknit. If one is born a certain day on earth, all times and forces tended to that birth, not all the world could change or hinder it. O brothers of sad lives, they are so brief, a few short years must bring us all relief. Can we not bear these years of laboring breath without the fear of waking after death? The hearse was parked deep in the heart of the cemetery. Inside the coffin, AD could hear footsteps in the gravel. Outside, the general could hear his muffled rant.
What you gonna do, what you won't do, nigga?
Can I live? Can I live?
Whoa. What's why weighing gains? What's way we're real, nigga? Let's get it on. The general laughed at him. Stop bitching, man. I'm gonna let you out of there. Huh? I bet you sold out already, didn't you? Kay held his gun on AD as he opened the coffin and ordered him out. He stayed posted by the vehicle, and the general led his prisoner to an open mausoleum. Once inside, he ripped off the rumal, and AD spat on the floor.
Y'all niggas finished, yo? Y'all niggas finished?
He yelled. You ought to pass, bro. Our time is now. The general let him know. You must have been popping that X if you think you can touch us. We got every ghetto in the world backing us, motherfucker. That means AD said, seething. Come on, man. Proceed with the dialectic for this evening. AD perceived surprise in the general's eye. Yeah, Mr. President, you think you well read? Well, I know a little bit. Look at me. You think Hose was beating down my door? Your future is my past, youngin'. I've been here before. See, you think you deep, but you have no idea. Man, you's a bitch. End of story, said the general. One of my young dogs introduced me to your girl Sassy. Oh yeah, we kicked it a long time. She way too pretty to spit rhymes that gritty. She told me about you too. Man, how old are you, you fucking pedophile? I heard your little album too. I'll give it to you. You alright, but you ain't him. You a trick and a thief. You stole mad styles, mad lyrics, the prophet's hooks, the Titan's ideas, and tell me why I hear my life and your shit. But it's alright, because I'm going to tell you this right now. You can rap till kingdom come, but it won't matter. They'll never love you like they love me. They won't follow you. They know I'm the realest. You weak, dude. Your ass would be dead now if you dreamed the shit I dreamed. And oh yeah, one more thing. Tell your boys Trenny and Glover they right. Brothers in jail do got some horrible stories to tell. Even so, I passed all 9 degrees of wisdom. What about you? You ain't even a novice. And no matter what you do, you'll never be king. AD was silent. His hateful eyes were burning holes in the general's clothes. The general didn't flinch. Just accept it. Being a stand-up guy ain't for you. See, this shit is bigger than us. It's bigger than East and West. It's about the prestige and the factions we represent. Imposters like you spinning the public, keeping them off track, making money off the hood, and not giving nothing back. Not while I'm alive. That's against the rules of the game. This is war, and on my side, we take this war shit deeply. What rules? AD asked anxiously. Man, ain't no rules. Ain't no parameters. Ain't no ethics. It's those played out morals and dogmas that have always held us back. Not me. I'm getting mine. The evil genius looked towards heaven and gave the middle finger to the Lord as he gripped his balls. Fuck y'all, he shout. Run around screaming war? Y'all brothers should want more, he chuckled. I guess you didn't get the call, homie. God is dead. And this, AD maneuvered his hand into his pocket and pulled out a handful of Federal Reserve notes. This is what killed him. He tossed the bills on the ground. He who follows him has lost. Then he tried his best to sound sincere. But if you would just bow down and play this game right, we could both get paid. Just keep quiet and stop trying to save people that ain't worth being saved. The general looked into the eyes of his adversary for some saving grace, but found none. There was not one single solitary drop of compunction in him. Them devils got your mind, he said sorrowfully. I know for a fact that God ain't dead. I talked to him. As a matter of fact, the dude is walking right here beside me. And you know what he's saying? He says that the reason he created hip-hop was to save them people, to take the secrets of the rich and share them with the poor. AD shook his head, truly bewildered. This ain't a movie, dog. After that, he snickered. And tell me, how you gonna help the poor if you one of them? Did brothers help you when you was locked down? What about when you was shot bleeding? AD's snickers turned into full-blown laughter, so amused by his next thought that he could barely get it out. I guess you like his one-begotten son, huh? Speaking for the poor in spirit, ah. He let out a long breath and calmed himself. Come on, man. You know better than to believe in that shit don't exist. We make our own plans. I'm my light. He paused. Why can't you just admit it? You want an ego trip, right? I can admit mine. I'm on a power trip. So let's do this. Let's get together and we can make the world believe in us. You could even play the star. My plan has always been to fade to black anyway. 80 stopped and gave the proposition a moment to sink in before he continued. That's the blueprint for success, homie. That or quit the game. 'Cause otherwise, he hunched his shoulders. I gotta say, God bless. The general entertained the thought. Quit rap, he said after a moment. I don't know how to do nothing else. Me either. And I, said the general firmly, ain't gonna do nothing else. Me either. There was no conversation left. It was conspirara. They'd said it in the same breath. Both their thoughts were racing. Bad blood was boiling from too many cant remarks. He'll never change. He's too stuck in his ways. Each one knew that the other was right. It's either my life or your life. You got a lot of nerve to play me. The general swung at his enemy with his free hand. His anger had him off balance, and 80, patient and nimble under fire, all but dodged the jab. But the ring that Pooh had given the general had caught his lip and drew blood from the corner of his mouth. 80 smiled at him and licked it off. You too eager. The general smiled, aimed his weapon, and put pressure on the trigger. God bless. That's what they gonna say at your funeral. Bang! You dead. Whoa! 80 threw up his hands and revealed his last trick. Hold it. Hold on a sec. I almost forgot. He was still grinning, still playing it cool, like he wasn't staring down the barrel of a Desert Eagle. You want to hear this, really. The general watched him closely as he spoke. They said this message comes directly from the GM. I was told to give you this if I was ever compromised. With his hands still in the air, 80 maneuvered them to unclasp his Bovagari. He was nervous, but he didn't show it. He gripped the watch tight between two fingers when he shook it. The general's hands were steady. He took the watch with his left and held his gun with his right. As he reached, AD got a good look at his watch and thought about Trenny and Glover. Them ain't Rolex diamonds. What the fuck they done did to that? You gotta twist the bezel first, then flip it, he said. The general, suspicious of a trap, smirked and tossed the watch back. Think you gonna catch me sleeping? He asked. What'd Marley say? Sleep is for fools. I'm 'bout me father's business. 80's brain was flipping every possible script back and forth, looking for something he may have missed. Perhaps losing the watch meant his time was up. Maybe it had been wired to explode, killing them both. He knew he too was expendable. He fumbled with it. Wait, ordered the general. 80 stopped, and the general backpedaled to the door. Pushing down on the latch, he opened it from behind and stepped back a few feet. Now open it. Shit, 80 was pissed. The general was reading things like he'd written this chapter. There was nothing left to do but hope his gods had heard his call. He followed procedure and laid the watch on the ground where it produced a fast whirring sound like that of a tiny drill. Then, on the mausoleum wall, there appeared a faint blue apparition. The general thought, a hologram, as he walked to the doorway and listened. So there's been a breakdown in negotiations, exactly as I had foreseen. The spirit of your father is strong in you. It's enabled you to live a charmed life, so to speak. But it's of no consequence. You are but a man, and a man has no time. From conception, he is racing to beat time, to find his destiny before that destiny overtakes him. The age of man and his ridiculous dogmas is passing as gerontocracies, such as yours, are blown away like leaves from a lifeless tree. The new millennium is upon us, and when it arrives, and my heir takes his place in Jupiter's earthly abode, take my word for it, this scourge will stop. My emissary here believed we could have used you. That led many in my order to question his programming. Nevertheless, the image turned, its eyes seeming to focus directly on AD. I had faith in you, my child. After all, we are our Father's sons. Now, as your journeys merge, I have some prudent advice for you both to ponder here at the end of your lives. For my adversary, never go to war without proper funding. Trust me, it's an area I have some expertise in. And for my aid and advocate, behold our secret. It's about time we welcome you to illumination. May its keeper assist in your transmogrification. A puff of smoke seeped from inside of the watch. The image on the wall began to cackle as it shifted shape and form. A sight that left the general stunned but focused and left AD crunching the numbers faster than ever. Advocate, Illumina, Transmogrifa. He shut his eyes tight and dove for the corner. Just then, a light more brilliant than 10,000 suns exploded in the tomb. Laser-like rays broke through every crack in the structure as a single clap of thunder brought the end of the calm and the start of the storm. The general had been blinded and was grunting in pain. AD, who'd barely been able to make out shadows himself, followed the whispers and tore past his captor out of the tomb and into the world of tomorrow. Outside, colliding clouds released a deluge as the general pursued. A dense fog besieged him as he let off 2 shots at point-blank range. They missed. He emptied out his clip, never stopping to aim. AD heard footsteps behind him like hellhounds on his trail. He was scrambling like a quarterback searching for some safety when he found himself directly in front of the cemetery wall. With his hands still cuffed, he scaled a large tombstone and leapt for it. Losing his footing on the mossy concrete, he slammed down on the wall and watched as his breath flowed away. His life was in the balance, his body opened to vessels of iniquity. Just then, lightning struck, illuminating the whole show. He pushed up on his elbows and gave K a perfect shot at his head. AD sensed the danger and turned to face it. Lightning struck twice and showed him in his proper form. K hesitated in the face of the evils, and AD smiled. "Fire!" ordered the general. K squeezed instantly, but it was not meant to be. For time waits for no man. At the stroke of high 12, gales swirled and evil tempests roared, sending shrubs slamming against them and knocking the soldiers to their knees. AD was sent over the barrier that separates the world of spirits from the world of matter, his body radiating energy as he fell from the sky like Apollo in evening fall to earth. This time he wasn't afraid, and this time the moment wasn't lost on him. He knew he'd narrowly escaped his death. The powers that be had granted him a new lease on life and new breath. His transition was complete. So is the price of knowledge, the death of the old you and the birth of the new. The agent ran for over a mile before slowing down. As he approached a taxi, the driver noticed the handcuffs barely covered by the sleeves of his shirt. He waved them away and tried to pull off, but the agent blocked his path and said, "Be merciful, my friend." It startled him when it came out in Arabic. "I was kidnapped and barely escaped with my life. Please, take me to Marcy." AD pointed to the ring on his finger. "That's 5 carats. Take it as your reward." The driver accepted, watching as his passenger sat silently in the back of the cab. As strange as things seemed to him, they also made sense. Through the whole ordeal, even while staring death in the eye, he'd kept his head. He felt he was being guided by something, but he'd had those feelings nearly all his life. He remembered what they'd told him that night in paradise. It's true, he thought, realizing he'd seen this play out long ago. His, theirs, ours. Life is but a jumble of dreams. With his dreams rejuvenated, he laughed out loud thinking, immortality. Then saying the words, he made it his reality. I can't die. Back in the hearse, the general knew he'd fucked up. The prince says that men must be either pampered or crushed because they can get revenge for small injuries, but not for grievous ones. So any injury a prince does a man should be of a kind where there is no fear of revenge. I think I should expect some revenge to come from this, he said to himself, and it won't be minimal. While some will say he wasn't fit for the job, others will say he let curiosity get the best of him, while I myself believe it was compassion, perhaps even a bit of regret. Whatever the case, a maelstrom such as that provides no time for either. To deny a dying man his last wish may have seemed ruthless to a man of morals, but what is often mistaken for ruthlessness may in actuality be clarity of the mind, and clarity must be acted upon in the present as it happens. They were in tune not long ago. The general wondered if the tie had been severed. Once settled onto the plane, he tried sending a message, but there was someone else on the line. Vengeance is mine. A.D. heard the voice loud and clear and dismissed it like that of an old fool. You said it better than all. That night, he went to work on a piece to capture the moment, and though it would be years before he completed it, he wrote the hook while it was fresh in his mind. How art thou fallen from heaven? With that, he'd sworn his will and allegiance to dark societies. Then he made them a promise.
He is I and I am him.
They out of here, my lord. With rhyme and reason, I will chase them off of this earth. Before his feet ever touched the ground, the general had made some changes, because now every single tiny microscopic little thing had to go exactly according to plan. Immediately, he exorcised the last of the demons from his circle in order to test the mysteries of the mystical numbers 40, 13, and 7, and the theory of what could be accomplished in the span of 7 days. Could a single person fulfill his life obligation, keep his promise, and destroy in 7 days what had taken 220 years to build? Against all odds, he had once again to the eon, spending a full 168 hours adrift in creation's flow. Members of the Eternals who were there said they felt blessed to have witnessed the blitzkrieg of that 1 week in August when his spirit was purged. The result of those studio conclaves? A dizzying body of work. 53 songs produced, an amazing 33 of which even they had never heard. The generals lost scrolls in the event that he was ever overtaken by the shadows. Los Angeles, Hollywood Hills, September 1st. Petula was an emotional wreck. She'd just flown in from New York to visit the general on the set of his latest project. On a break from filming, he dropped the top on the rolls and cruised to a quiet place where he could calm her down and get the latest intel before going back to the set for the interview where he'd finally unveil the political aspirations of the newly formed Independence Party, the undying dream of the old man and the elders to elect the first hip-hop endorsed president by the year 2012. What's going on? Everybody's so tense. I could barely get any of my friends to talk to me, and when they did, it seemed like they were trying to get information out of me. For the very first time, this thought crossed her mind. Well, what if they're informants? He eased her head to his lap, put the blunt in her mouth, and continued reading. She took a pull and jumped up. Baby, they're saying all these people want to kill you. This is so fucked up. I don't know who to trust. People are saying that you would have been safer in jail, and since you fired Kleinfeld, the mob is after you. Psst. You believe that? Maybe. Pooh has been acting funny ever since we came back from the islands. What if we can't trust him anymore? This is so fucked up. For heaven's sake, This is the music business. It's not supposed to be like this. What are we going to do? I've got a bad feeling. Maybe we shouldn't go out of town next week. Petula started weeping. Where did all this come from? Never in my wildest dreams did I see us like this. How do you see us? Everyone is after us, she cried. It's like we're outlaws, the 96 versions of Bonnie and Clyde. We? Wondered the general. Yeah, he said, turning the page. Them people really wanted me to rot away in jail. I found out they threatened anybody who tried to get me out on bail. Pooh was the only one with enough nuts to say, fuck 'em. If it wasn't for him, I'd still be locked up right now. I gotta respect that. Plus, I gave him my word that I'd go. He finally looked up at her. You gotta respect that. A summer breeze carried the faintest hint of hyacinth through Petula's mahogany hair. He ran his fingers along her wavy red highlights, then grabbed a handful of them, pulled her head back, pressed his lips to hers, and blew. When they part, she moaned a light but guttural moan, like she'd been waiting to exhale. Her eyes opened. She'd never felt like that before, but he had. In the sky, 10 years of clouds passed by in single file. Lately, his dreams had been of carefree days as a child, back when he didn't know what was in the hearts of men. He would have given anything to be that innocent again. Being in LA, he thought about her from time to time, but too much thinking could lead to doing and finding answers that he wasn't prepared to find. If she'd wanted to see him, he should have been pretty easy to call, with him being their biggest rap star in the world and all. But to this day, she had yet to pick up the phone. Sometimes he questioned her motives, but that never lasted long, sure that one day soon a starry night would lead them home. Petula was shaking. He could hear her heart beating fast. He wondered what exactly had her so paranoid. Was it the threats, the weed, or the life he'd soon leave? He closed his book, The Bank of America of Louisiana, and tossed it in the back seat. Shh, baby, rest your head. He kissed it, gently pulling her hair between his lips. It's too pretty to be dealing with shit like that. She covered her face. He moved her hands. Baby, look at me. Promise me something. Promise that whatever happens, whatever you might hear, you won't shed no more tears. Remember what I told you when we were in Milan. Just hold your head. The book will absolve me. Sin City, September 7th. Hell was empty. All the sinners were here. Shakespeare. Especially when the champ was in town, and it made no difference to them if the bout went the distance or if he made quick work of a bum. It was the spectators who made fight night something to remember. The atmosphere was at once a Trinidadian carnival and a G8 summit for the streets. Tonight, all the heavyweight contenders were in attendance. And while the Haitians from the East had a score to settle, the West refused to bow down. The Midwesterners from Chicago and Cleveland wanted to avoid conflict and thug in eternal harmony, and the South was set to rise again as the boys from Texas went through a resurrection. Their leader remained untouchable. ATLians had emerged from the dungeon of the 213 with a mob, while soldiers from New Orleans had cash money and knew no limit. Even the mafia from Memphis had arrived with their cousins from Orange Mountain, no longer on the outside looking in. Yes, the world was watching on this starry night as the general made his way through the city, the first of many stops on his campaign to be elected commander-in-chief. 10:42 p.m. The fight was over, and 5 East Coast hustlers sat comfortably in the Suburban, taking shots of Louis XIII and awaiting a party, occasionally glancing at one of the TV screens, but mostly paying attention to the money-changing hands in a stripped-down game of poker they call Guts. Through the open windows, they tried out pickup lines on the city's B-list nymphs. AD was unusually anxious, his mind elsewhere. Fame noticed him surreptitiously checking his watch or cell phone once a minute like he had somewhere to be. Their man Alfredo was a Philadelphia hustler riding in Prudential's jet stream. Yo, AD, check it. There go old girl from earlier with the honeydew tits. He yelled at her. Yo, put them things away, ma. They out of season. Hours earlier at the strip club, AD had dissed her double Ds. Too much scar tissue, he'd said. I'm gonna find her doctor and get my money back. Now all of a sudden, he had a change of heart. Damn, Fredo, why you so hard on the hose? I'm out. He put his cards down, snatched up his winnings, and got out of the vehicle. Yo, B, asked Fame, where you going? I'm gonna get a private show this time. Get my money's worth. I'll be back before the party. Then he followed Honeydew into the hotel. Excuse me, miss. Yes, what's your name? Dominique, she said, handing him a card. I want to apologize for my guys. She mentioned something about being an actress as they shook hands. He wasn't listening. He glanced at his phone. 10:47. That's what I'm saying. Let's have a quick drink and talk about it. By 10:55, he was pouring champagne. His phone vibrated, and he answered. It's underway, said the voice on the other end. It was the call he'd been waiting for. He sighed, looked around, and then handed Dominique a grand. What's this? She asked. That should buy me some time, right? Order us a little sushi roll or something. I had chips on the fight. I'm going to check on him real quick. And when I get back, you could tell a player how you want it, all right? He walked away, turned a corner, and jogged through the hotel kitchen and out onto the loading dock where he ducked into a waiting black utility van. Several blocks away, an agent in a black one-piece coverall exited the van, ducked into the backseat of a waiting white Cadillac, and donned a black ski mask. It was 11:04. Minutes later, on Golgotha Street, the driver of the caddy slowed and waited for the chaos to catch up to them. The traffic was sparse where the vehicle was now, the disorder distant. It was darker here too, almost serene, as the gauntlet of lights from the strip had dwindled to nearly nothing here on the edge of town. Just blocks away, the Cheops' 40 billion watt illuminated capstone could still be seen prowling the darkness of the desert sky. 11:08. The caddy's other three occupants remained silent. Crouched in the back seat, the agent closed his eyes and listened to the sounds of excitement creeping up through the void. Engines purring, horns honking, bass, treble, and voices intertwining to fuel the revelers who screamed adulations at the mere glimpse of their heroes. The agent could feel the target approaching. He looked at his watch, 11:12. He gripped his pistol tight and took a breath. This was it. Time for his star to shine. At the center of the spirited procession, in the passenger seat of Pooh's plush car, his body marred by battlefield scars, sat the general. His ringing ears and dimming sight told him that a spell wasn't far. He didn't fight it. He glanced at his Omega and then gazed out the window in an attempt to make sense of his life as a ghetto star. In under 5 years, he'd done everything he'd set out to do and accomplished more than most would in a lifetime. But as his brother had once brilliantly noted, it had all come at a price. He was tired of this life. He'd felt he'd given enough. He focused on an oasis and something he hadn't seen in years. Waterfalls, heaven, and a red desert rose swaying on Paradise Road. The inside of his head felt like vacuum. He let the vibrations lead him to specters from his present and past. There was Marion, smiling peacefully in her new home, content at last. Cherished in her children, living a better life than they'd ever had. Yosef, the old man, and all the political prisoners of the movement, eternal inspirations. Their flesh may have been scared, but their spirits were still going, their voices still flowing. All generals in war, forever spitting the knowing. This is it? Immortality is what I wished for? He thought back to the time and how at one point he would like to have lived a long life. He knew that longevity had its place. He also knew that since ancient times, the number 12 had been linked to perfection and grace. From the 12 tribes of Israel to the zodiac's 12 signs, for centuries the number 12 has been seen as divine. But time had moved on. It was 13 past the hour, and superstitions just as ancient linked it to cults and covens, bad luck, and evil power. From the Last Supper to the Tarot to the Curse of the Templars, for centuries, the number 13 and death have looked familiar. 11:14. Inside the 7:45, the flash of the paparazzi snapped the general back to life. His fans surrounded him with shouts and showed their love. With his vision still blurred, as he smiled and gave it back, then Pooh turned at the corner, and not a half block ahead, hanging from a cable, the streetlight turned red, exposing underneath it, in the lane on the right, a black hand and a caddy that had been veiled in white. Empirically navigating the void, the general moved toward the light, exiting the gates of this realm and entering his next life. At 11:21, the four men ditched the Cadillac in the trailer of an 18-wheeler. From there, the black van sped to the hotel. The kitchen was on and popping as AD walked through. By this time, news of a shooting was coming in. Outside in the Suburban, the hustlers sat, mouths open and minds spinning. They barely had time to digest the fight before they began dissecting this. Fame already had a theory. 11:32. He's been gone 45 minutes. He got out of the SUV. Yo, y'all chill, I'll be right back. Seconds later, he was holding his key card as he slid through the hotel traffic on his way to their suite. This guy better be there. He left the elevator, turned the corner, and made a dash for the room. He slid his card through, and the light from the lock cast a green glow on the door. Behind it, the stereo played O Fortuna, the Galliards theme. Cautiously, Fame made his way around another corner where he was equally weirded out as he was relieved to find AD leaning against the wall, Cristal bottle in hand, grinning mischievously as Dominique, and nothing but a La Perla thong, danced lasciviously around him, flashing the prudential symbol. Fame shook it off and asked, B, what the fuck are you doing? You ain't heard the news? News, said a drunken Dominique. Fuck the news. Fame glanced at her. It's over for you, ma. Put your tits away, go home and feed your kids. AD chuckled and made a wisecrack about knocking. Fuck knocking, B. Yo, your boy just got popped, yo. What? AD's voice trailed off as he recalled his moment of clarity and those storied 3 shots. You mean the presidential candidate? Is he dead? Shit, he might be by now. I came up here to find you. AD grinned and pointed a mock gun at Fame and said, politics as usual. Pow! Fame sighed and shook that off too. Come on, B, you playing. Shit's about to get hectic. The streets is calling, B. Dominique dressed quickly. At the elevator, AD suddenly had a million questions for her. So ma, what's your name? My name, she slurred, is AD. Fame looked at her. B, what did you give this? AD waved his hand and cut him off. No, hon, my name is AD. What's yours? She could hardly stand. Oh, right, you're AD. I'm a hoe who can't handle her liquor, said Fame. AD helped her out. Your name is Dominique. We had a ball these last few hours, right, girl? She smiled and touched his face. Yeah, you got that good shit. The elevator door opened, and another couple who were just as out of it got on. Dominique began rambling through her purse. Daddy, if you're ever in LA, come see me. I've got some cards here somewhere. Is that what you're looking for? Asked AD, holding up the card case. They fell out your purse when you were dancing. I hope you won't mind. I took a few. No, that's fine, she yawned. I'm so clumsy. She burped and took the case. Oh, excuse me, everybody. I'm a little drunk too. The woman who'd just gotten on giggled. Don't worry, she said. We all are. No one will remember any of this tomorrow. AD reassured her. It's aight, ma. We all been drinking a lot, but a good actress never forgets her lines. The elevator door opened and AD elbowed Fame to stop him from laughing. Aight, ma, this is it. He hugged her before sending her off again. I'ma call you, aight? Fame was doubled over laughing as she wandered away. AD followed her for a few steps. Be good. I know where to find you, aight? Fame noticed Fortune and the rest of the... Fame Fame noticed Fortune and the rest of the crew moving toward them. "Yo, where y'all been?" asked Alfredo. "Everybody is headed over to Golgotha." Fame called to AD. "Come on, man. Leave her drunk ass alone." They moved towards the others, still laughing as he brushed some specks of black lint from AD's head. Specks that in Fame's mind would forever leave a trace of reasonable doubt. "You wild, B. But yo, what's all this black shit you got in your hair?" 6 days later, with the music seemingly over, members of the intelligence community received a transmission. "Attention, classified. Attention, classified. Memo. Operations COINTELPRO and Chaos. Operation Premature Assassination. Successful. Subversive threat terminated. Public enemy number 1, alias the General, executed. Threat of intended political coup eliminated. Instructions to field operatives, the Untouchables, and the Commission. Maintain surveillance of remaining insurgents and enemy combatants, aka the movement." At the bottom of the transmission was a picture of a black rose.